So welcome back, and we continue our recap of the March Madness tournament, day 3 of the series thus far, recapping all the games that happened on Saturday, and then going to be switching over to the tournament for the full bracket to show you what's going on with that one and give you some of the games going on that's locked in for the Sweet 16 and some that potentially could happen for that one. As of time of recording, we only have one game in the books there with Purdue over Miami, so Purdue advances to the Sweet 16, and now we had just a moment ago the tip-off happened for Iowa State and Kentucky, and then we have a boatload of games for the remainder of Sunday. But getting into Saturday here, overall, before I get into it real quick, everything was pretty much expected outside of one match. You'll see relatively soon we go over the scores, but everything was expected to be for the seeding wise. So we had the two number one seeds take care of business for their matches there. Michigan taking down St. Louis 95-72. Duke taking down TCU 81-58. Even though TCU in that first half did give Duke some trouble, they did 38-34. TCU only being down 4 at half, but Duke pulls away in the second half there, outscoring them 43-24 to win 81-58 and punch their ticket to the Sweet 16. Houston taking down Texas A&M 88-57. Michigan State in a closer one, taking down Louisville 77-69. We have the biggest upset here, the only upset I should say, on Saturday. Texas taking down Gonzaga. Now I don't want to make a clown of myself too much, but I did have in my bracket Gonzaga. And if you want to go back to the video of that a few days ago, I'll leave a link down below, or if I can post it on the picture on the screen here, you can click on it. If I can figure out how to do that, I will, but certainly be a link down below there for my bracket, my preview before the tournament actually kicked off. I did have Gonzaga going all the way there. They end in the round of 32 there, so Texas being the only Cinderella story per se for their seeding wise, the only double-digit seed team left in the conference, or sorry, the tournament I should say, left in here. So again, upsetting Gonzaga 74-68, and you see the next here for the other smaller schools here for VCU, they're on runs in the tournament over Illinois 76-55. Nebraska wins a close one over Vanderbilt. They're a great game to watch 74-72, and the other one, the true Cinderella story for the tournament here, High Point, their end runs the same way for VCU. Arkansas wins 94-88, but that was a great one too. Almost got the win there. Almost, again, gave Arkansas a ton of trouble. Unfortunately, they weren't able to pull it off there to advance to the Sweet 16 and continue their great story for that one. So unfortunately for VCU and High Point, there are a few moments of fame in the tournament end here as well. And again, Texas is the only team left that is a double digit seed left in the tournament here. Everything else was pretty much standard of what we expected to be going forward with the tournament here. And going to the bracket here, going from top to bottom, showing you what's going on. So starting from the left here, Duke of course began punching their ticket to the Sweet 16, waiting to see what happens between St. John's and Kansas later today. Arkansas, again, same way too, waiting for what's going to happen between Arizona and Utah State for their matchup. Michigan State advancing over Louisville. They wait to see what happens between UCLA and UConn. And again, we have the first punch ticket game for the Sweet 16 there, Purdue and Texas Tech, finally in the books there. So we'll see what happens in that matchup if Texas can continue their huge upsets there. Again, you look at going thus far in their tournament there, taking down number 6 BYU, number 3 Gonzaga. Would be massive. They could take down number 2 Purdue in this one. So going down here, Nebraska waiting for the Sweet 16, waiting to see if they face Florida or Iowa for the matchup there. We have another one in the books for the Sweet 16. We have number 2 Houston and number 3 Illinois going over there. You see on the screen now. Again, just tip off not moments ago there. Kentucky up 7-2 in that one, as well as to see what happens in the other matchup too, who will match up to one of those either teams between Kentucky and Virginia. And then Michigan finally waits in round of 16 to see if they face Texas Tech and Alabama at 9:45 p.m. Eastern time. Another amazing game to watch there. It sucks it's going to be the last game on Sunday, but certainly would be worth the wait in that one. And again, just give you one more recap of the bracket here, going from top to bottom, of seeing who advanced and who did not. And if you want to just also a quick recap the other rounds as well for round of 64 or the other games too, I'll give you again one more peek at that as well. And again, overall, it was not as crazy as it was in the beginning of the tournament. Again, everything is pretty much standard on par what we expect it to be. But overall, still exciting. Still great matchups that we're watching, even with the games with teams that are expected to win based on their seeding. Still coming down to the wire, a few last moments, last seconds, and it's still overall a fun tournament. I can't rave enough. March Madness is arguably, you can make the case, the best moment in all of sports. It is. It always is. Every single year, there might be times and rounds where, it was a bit lackluster, underwhelming. I think it could have gotten to a point you can kind of say that with everything, again, with the seeding being on par, being as expected to. But again, all these matchups are still fun to watch. Even with High Point, not, with their run ending, they pushed Arkansas to the brink of it, 94-88. There's nothing to be ashamed of with that as well. And other matchups, too. You go down the list here of other ones, too, on top of that. Nebraska, Vanderbilt was a great matchup, too, on top of that. And then right now we have an update here. Kind of took a break in between here for recording for this one. So now we're up to 52-40 for Iowa State here. So again, overall, still exciting, even though all the higher seeds or lower seeds are pretty much out of it outside of Texas. Still fun to watch and see what happens for the rest of the round of 32 going into Sweet 16. But like I said, got a quick recap of Saturday's games, and then tomorrow we'll give you the recap of the remainder of the round 32 for Sunday's matches, and then talk about the preview for Sweet 16 that starts on March 26th.